I'm so happy to see you, and I hope you'll stay with us. We've got a great show tonight. We're going to talk about Black Lives Matter right here in the Upper Cumberland, and I'm so happy to have with me our special guest, co-host for the night is Mayor Curtis Hayes of Livingston, Tennessee. Good to see you, sir.
Thank you, Becky. It's an honor to be here tonight.
Well, it's an honor to have you, and I know you've been busy in the Golden Eagle Scramble, but you've got on your Livingston Academy blue.
I got on my LA blue. I hope I represented okay, but sometimes the golf clubs, great clubs, it's just the operator sometimes it messes up, I believe, Becky.
Right. You know, I'm so happy you're here, Curtis, because you are, I think, the only African-American mayor elected leader in the Upper Cumberland. Is that correct? In a mayor's position?
Yes.
In a mayor's position.
That's correct.
So tell me, we have such a great affinity for everything in Overton County and Livingston. You all doing a tremendous job. Tell me, how important is this Black Lives Matter for our region?
Well, I think it's very important. Obviously, you look back over the years, and the African Americans, black folks, they've came a long ways. I mean, obviously, being in Livingston, Tennessee, where obviously I'm one of the minorities, and the percentage of African Americans in Overton County is less than 5%. So, I'm fortunate and just proud to be from Livingston and born and raised there, and folks there has been so good to me, and but there's still a lot of work to be done across the country.
All right, don't go away. We're going to be back here with the mayor in just a few moments. Right now, we're going to take you to a preview of our mayors from Warren County and McMinnville to look a little bit at this week's press briefing, and then we'll be back.
From one neighbor to another, WCTE PBS is here for you. Coming up next is the previously recorded COVID-19 press briefing from local officials in McMinnville and Warren County.
This will be my last broadcast for a few more months until a new challenge arises. And I want to thank each and every one that has cooperated and participated, not only in my preparedness plan team, economic recovery group, but also across our community. The thankless hours that have been put in by EMS and first responders and law enforcement and our essential workers, county employees, our firemen, policemen, everyone has worked tirelessly across these last few months to feed and to nurture and to lift up those people who have faced this challenge, sometimes alone. Elections are going to be affected down the road. Our census has been extended. Even our local graduation and prom has been affected in our school system. There will be a parade on Saturday at 2 o'clock. They'll be organizing in the parking lot of the high school, be going through Westwood and going downtown. Everybody in the community is urged to put up signs and banners to lift up those students who've had to live through an exceptional time their senior year. Social unrest has manifested itself as a byproduct of all this stress that's been placed upon our society. The issue of inequality has been festering for many, many years. It took a tragic spark to ignite a movement. Whether you agree or disagree, it's not a fire of destruction, but one that may have warmed the hearts of so many who have turned cold to the obvious frustrations of a whole community of citizens who have felt like they have been left behind. It's unfortunate that as a history teacher, we look back from Civil War to civil rights. There are still forces that wish to divide our nation. We've sacrificed hundreds of lives over the course of generations for that quest of freedom and democracy and justice that defines us as a nation. We have come a long way, but maybe we have not come far enough in that quest. I ask each person in our amazing community, our amazing state, our amazing country to reflect upon who we are, where we've come from, and where we need to go. The choice will determine our future. So I ask each and every one of you to remember the pledge that we hold so dear to a flag that is respected around the world as a symbol of freedom and opportunity and democracy for all peoples, that we are one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. We are American strong. We are Tennessee strong. We are Warren strong now and forever. Amen.
Thank you for joining us for this previously recorded COVID-19 press briefing from local officials in McMinnville and Warren County.
All right. Thank you to the mayors in McMinnville and also Warren County. And we appreciate the folks who are tuning in via WCT's Facebook page. We want to make sure that you can know that you can ask a question. If you have any questions, the mayor here, Mayor Hayes, is going to be with me through this whole half hour. So even if you don't have a question right now, you can ask one coming up in just a little bit. Also, Carl Owens is going to be with us tonight, and Jasen Knight. And so we're going to have a great conversation. One of the things WCT is doing, this is new, Mayor, to do this live at 5, and we want to continue having conversations about things that are important in our region. What's the most important thing for you right now in Overton County and Livingston?
Well, we got several things going. This dreaded pandemic has came across globally, and of course it has hit Overton County. I think that we have tested over about 1,200, and I think there was 33 or 34 that came back positive, and thank goodness a high percentage of them has recovered.
Oh, that's
so
great.
And business is slow starting, but trying to get to the norm.
Yes.
As much as it possibly can, So of course schools has been out like they have, and we have parks that we've not opened just yet. So, and then you throw a budget season right in there in the middle of that, and also an election for myself that
Yes.
right in the middle that's behind us now, and so it's starting to speed back up, and our restaurants are starting to open, and so we're trying to get back to business as normal.
That's great. That's great to hear. I'm so glad to hear that. We want to let folks know that WCT is going to be very active in sharing high school graduations in the Upper Cumberland, thanks to many of our partners in the rural telephone cooperatives who are helping as well. And we're going to be doing the Livingston Academy graduation is this coming Sunday, I believe at 2:00, right?
That's correct.
And it's going to be at Tennessee Tech. And we know that you're restricted on the number of people who can actually attend that graduation. So WCT will put it on our WCTE World channel, which in Twin Lakes actually is channel 211. But if people aren't sure what channel, you can call the station or just look up on your cable provider or get an antenna. That's the best thing. If you get an antenna, you get all 4 WCTE channels. We'll also be airing that on our Facebook page on Sunday. Now tonight, Mayor, we're going to have Warren County's graduation on. Isn't that right? They're not allowed on our Facebook because they already have a primary feed on Ben Lomond. And then, so that's tonight, I believe at 7. Isn't that right? On the World Channel. And then tomorrow night is Upperman tonight is Upperman at 6. That's right. Putnam County, Upperman at 6 tonight. And then tomorrow is at 9 o'clock, I believe is Cookeville High School, and tomorrow afternoon is 4 o'clock, I believe is Monterey. So lots of Upper Cumberland County schools are having their graduations on WCTE World, as well as our Facebook page,
Right.
where we're allowed to put that out there.
Absolutely.
So tell me, Mayor, the Black Lives Matters, we want to have a very intentional conversation tonight about this. I know that you were asked to speak with the Cookeville mayors, Putnam County Mayor Porter, and for many of you to share your thoughts about this. How important is it as a region for us to really have an intentional conversation?
Well, I think it's very important as you see things across the country that just are not right. I don't think that obviously the things that have happened in Minneapolis that no warm-blooded American could agree with anything of that nature going on. It just kind of takes you back to a very difficult time, and fortunate I'm young enough that I can't recall some bad things that happened back in the 60s and early 70s. But even as I'm 45-year-old, but even as seeing things like that and other things that have happened in our country, it just kind of yikes.
Yes.
Just kind of makes you want to sit back and think and just pray to God that, that there's a lot of good in folks. And we have good law enforcement officers. And I'm a former law enforcement officer myself. And I that just gave a black eye to the law enforcement world. And I hate that.
Yes.
Because the men and women that wear the badge truly, for the high percentage of the time, is really out to protect and serve. So
That's right.
when something like this happens, it just gives a black eye. Now it happened, unfortunately, and somebody, Mr. Floyd, had to lose his life on this, and it's just unacceptable. It's just unacceptable in today's world, or
Right.
any time it's unacceptable.
Right.
And I'm a graduate of Tennessee Law Enforcement Training Academy, and they never taught that in while you're in school down there in training as a young policeman, and so to watch that is just troubling. I'm Becky, I don't know if you know it, but I'm a grandpa now for 6 months.
Oh, I
So
didn't know that.
yeah, so she's growing up in the world. I've got kids 25 and 22, and you don't want to see that happen to Mr. Floyd. You certainly don't want to see that happen to a family. So we're just going to have to do more education, more diversity education, and pray to God that everybody will do the good Lord's will
The right
and
thing.
do the right thing. That's
Yeah.
correct.
I think, Mayor Hayes, I'm so glad you're here. And I'm so proud of Overton County for and all the leadership you've provided and all the leadership in our Upper Cumberland. We had a very peaceful protest on Saturday here in Cookeville. But I know that Mayor Porter and Mayor Shelton and all the law enforcement involved really took extra measures to make sure that people were safe, because it is our First Amendment
Sure.
right to be able
Absolutely.
to peacefully protest.
Absolutely.
And so I think and I want us to discuss this again later. And again, if people have a question, please call in and ask your question. In the minute that we have left at this moment, what's the one thing that you would like for folks to know in the Upper Cumberland that maybe we can do as a community to embrace each other, support each other?
Well, I can tell you that I have a good working relationship with my leaders here in Putnam County. I can tell you that across the Upper Cumberland that we have all at some point partnered with each other in local government or have sit on some boards across, and we're all friends and can lean on one another if that's what we need. And I just think we've got to get back to the basics of just the golden rule: do unto others as you'd want them to do unto you.
I think that's so true. All right, don't go away. He's going to be back with us in just a few moments, but right after this message, we're going to have Dr. Carl Owens. So stay with us.
This is not only a great day for George Floyd in regards to justice, but a great day for America indeed. As a Native American, we've had many problems getting justice in any form. And what we're seeing now, as the Hopi have predicted, is that there will be a rainbow tribe stand up collectively for the rights of all human beings. And that's what I see today. That's why I say it's a beautiful day.
Okay, I'm so appreciative of that beautiful spot that Craig Gray put together for us. And I'm so happy to have with me Dr. Carl Owens. Carl, you're my friend and have been since we were both freshmen in college, I believe.
Yeah, a little bit.
Maybe a
Yes.
little bit different than freshman in college. Anyway, Carl and I go way back, but he has been on the WCTE Community Advisory Board, the WCTE Governing Board. You've been at Tennessee Tech. You just recently retired?
It's upcoming December.
Upcoming.
Something soon.
So you've been in Cookeville a long time, but you grew up in Birmingham, right?
Yes. Actually,
And-
technically Bessemer, but Birmingham was just across the highway. Yes.
And so what we're seeing right now has to have a really significant impact on you, because did you not see this kind of the same activity when you were a young child?
Yes, I was very fortunate, and it's probably part of the story that I'm writing about my life. But when I was 9 years old, Martin Luther King's March to Washington passed right in front of my parents' home.
Wow.
And so there were the covered wagons and that part of history. And so for most of my life, the idea that I would be 65 years old last week and to be at this point, I expected something different, to be honest.
Yeah. So this has to be painful. What can we do? What can we do? As a community, as a region, as a nation, what can we do?
So it's a difficult question to answer in some senses, but it's easy. I've had the great fortune to travel around the world and to see other cultures and to be in other cultures. And I've always said no one is greater than Carl and no one is less than Carl. And so when I meet other human beings on the planet, whether they're in China or Italy or wherever, we're all human beings. And so we have to look at each other in that way. And my life, and for the people who know me, who watch this show, I try to exhibit that every day of my life. And that's due to good parenting. So
That's a very good point. I heard Austin Channing say that on Brene Brown's she has a podcast called Unlocking Us that's phenomenal. And she said anti-racism is one human treating another human the way they would want to be treated, basically.
yes.
So what are some recommendations? Do you have some? And we're not going to have enough time to talk to Carl about everything I want to talk to him about, so we'll do this again.
So, with these events, and of course, I was a guy who produced media for a very long time, which is a different eye, and I was production, not performance, which is what we're doing. And so when you capture the world in images using a camera, a still camera or a video camera, you look at the world in a different way. And so my friends have been asking, so what would you say to people to help them understand sort of where we are in this space? And I recommend 3 movies. There's a lot of reading, and in the USA Today the other day was a very good article about books to read. And sometimes books are good, but most people, acquisition of information is through movies. Mm-hmm. So I would recommend, and the first one is painful, 12 Years a Slave. And I tell people when they watch that movie to not look away at any of the scenes that are there, and some are painful and powerful. 2 would be Red Tails, which documents, the history of the Tuskegee Airmen. It's a wonderful movie. And again, African Americans have fought in every war.
Yes.
And then the third, which I really love in the modern time, is Hidden Figures, which documents the history of the female African American position as it related to our space program.
Right.
All wonderful movies.
Unbelievable. These are great suggestions. We're going to put these on our website. We're also going to put other resources
Yes.
that the Cookeville Multicultural Advisory Council has submitted materials for us. Carl, we're hoping to have a podcast with you one of these days. Are you working on that?
Yes. So, COVID-19 changed things. I have all
Yes.
the gear, and so I was getting all, geared up for that. But I'm still excited about producing that program. And I think these issues that we're talking about, and my friends, not only here in Putnam County, but around the world, and I need to say this, my friends from on this planet and all over this country have reached out to me.
Yes.
And that lets me know that, I'm just one. It makes me feel an importance that I have a message that people want to hear. And so producing this podcast series will be an opportunity for my friends who are local and in this country and internationally to be able to share some thoughts about the things that we've experienced as we've traveled around this planet. So,
That's great, Carl. Thank you so much. We'll be back with more at Live at 5 and Jasen Knight, and then look forward to Carl's podcast that you'll find out about on WCTE.
My grandparents were colored. My parents were Negroes. And me, I'm black.
From I Have a Dream to I Can't Breathe. From Straight Outta Compton to the White House. Black history is American history.
You must not surrender. Keep hope alive.
Black America since MLK, and still I rise.
All right. I'm looking for your questions or comments on our Facebook page here. So if you have anything that you'd like to ask, let me know. It's Live at 5 here at WCTE, and I'm so happy to have with me Jasen Knight. Jasen is the president of Impact, which is a very important group here in Cookeville. Can you tell me more about Impact?
I sure can. So Impact started out 10 years ago with a group of just local African-American men as a safe space to kind of get together and just talk among each other about current events. But we realized that this community takes a community to build a community, right? So we've opened that up to all diversity. And we focus on education, empowerment, and equity, and mostly the education piece. We want to educate people about diversity and other things as well.
We had a conversation Saturday that Impact Leadership put together. It was really great.
Yeah.
And Jasen, you said something to me that was so powerful. Well, you didn't just say it to me, you said it to everybody, but it was very meaningful. And the tagline was "Bear the Burden." And I want you to share what that, to go back and tell the beginning of that story.
For sure. So I've actually told that story to a few people. So one thing about the George Floyd incident that I think has changed things is that it started to open this conversation. Mm-hmm. And I'm almost 40 years old. I've never had the opportunity to have a conversation with other people across both different platforms of the background about what it's like to be African American. Right. And we tell this story, that when you're raised, inherently that you're a little bit different. Mm-hmm. You hear it through your family members, you hear it through other people on TV, and as a daily life, as a black person, you carry this burden about being different. And some people carry it well, and they're happy and they're good. But we're talking about how do you make this different? How do you make a change? How can you do your part about it? And I said, it's not about you taking this and dropping it off at 4 o'clock when you leave work. It's that you have to carry the burden. You have to be aware of it all the time, 24/7. And that's what that means. You have to carry it with you. And
so what you're asking your white brothers and sisters to do that same thing, because I don't think about, I'm just going to be honest, I don't think about if I get pulled over by a policeman, or if I step out of my house, or if I'm walking down the street, or I don't think about that someone will judge me because of the color of my skin.
I would say it's not going to be easy just to pick it up and understand it because you don't live it. But I would say be culturally sensitive about what you say and what you do. And then when someone tells you what it's like, just listen. There's no need to comment, but just absorb it and process it the best way you can. And just be aware and just think about it before the golden rule, do good, do unto others as you would have somebody doing to you. And just if you think about that all the time, then that's how you can carry the burden.
In the little bit we have left here, what would you like to see for our community?
Unity. I sincerely think that we need to love each other in general.
Well, thank you so much for your leadership. And I know our mayors have reached out to you.
Yes.
How do you feel about that, about working directly with us?
I'll be honest with you. I really do love this town. I love where I am. And I feel like our mayors, our leadership loves it as well. Yeah. And we're all learning together. But it does make you feel like someone's wanting to carry that burden, to want to understand who you are. And so when they reach out to you first, it symbolizes, I want to help.
Yeah, that's so great to hear. Yeah. Jasen Knight, he's the president of Impact, and we'll be talking to Jasen, I know, again more here on Live at 5. But we got to get Mayor Hayes back in here.
All right.
And thank you
for
so
having
much.
Me. I appreciate it.
All right. We'll be back in just a few moments with Live at 5.
Out of Compton to the White House. Black history is American history.
You must not surrender.
Black America since MLK, and still I rise.
All right, thank you all so much for tuning in to this very special Live at 5. We are discussing Black Lives Matters, but we're also discussing just our own Upper Cumberland communities and how we can have more unity. And I really appreciated what Carl and Jasen said. And you know, I think as we've got folks who are watching via Facebook, so we want to remind you that you can ask a question. Or what would you like to see for our region coming up in the next, I'd say the next 6 months? What would you like to see?
Well, more unity, and how us leaders in the Upper Cumberland can bring folks together. More education about diversity, and I really believe that could be a winning formula for the Upper Cumberland. Just more education on diversity, and all of us coming together.
Absolutely, I agree with that. I do want to share a statement from Governor Lee that came out about the protest. He says, "We encourage Tennesseans to exercise their First Amendment rights and have seen many examples of peaceful protest across our state in recent weeks. As demonstrations continue, we encourage everyone to protect Tennessee's rights to peaceful assembly while also assuring citizens that lawlessness and autonomous zones and violence will not be tolerated." You just mentioned you're a former law officer. You don't want to see that.
No, not at all. In fact, we have not had I'm going to call it a get-together. Sometimes don't like using the word protest because it can come out as negative. And so we have not had that just yet in Livingston. I have sit down and talked to some folks about wanting to come together, and I promote it. Again, it's your First Amendment right, and I even offered to speak at it. So anybody that wants to do that, and peaceful. Now I want to make sure that peaceful for anyone that wants to do that, and the on the other side, the anti-group, they have rights too, right. but we all got to do this peaceful. Mm-hmm. And act like we're all human beings.
That's right.
And that we all need to get along.
That's right. Well, Mayor Curtis Hayes from Livingston, a native of Overton County, thank you so much for being with us tonight. We do want to remind folks that our high school graduations kick off tonight with Upperman High School beginning at 6. All of these are on the World Channel, and most of them will be on our WCTE Facebook page. 7 p.m. will be Warren County tonight. Tomorrow, 10 a.m. is Cookeville. 4 p.m. is Monterey, and Sunday you can see Overton County at 2 p.m. With Livingston Academy, and then Monday night is 7 p.m. with White County High School. All of those are Upper Cumberland high schools that will be sent out to you on the World Channel and via Facebook. Thank you, Curtis.
Thank you.
All right. See you next time.
Thank you for joining us at Live at 5. Be sure to tune in next time for additional updates on communities throughout the Upper Cumberland. From one neighbor to another, WCTE PBS is here for you.